everybody to this live to tape version of the Bobby Dizzle podcast. I wish this one was live, but what are you going to do? Welcome everybody to the show. I'd like to invite everybody to subscribe, of course, and share. And always to subscribe and share and find me or on bobbydizzle.com right there. bobbydizzle.com. But enough about me. Today we're joined by Eric Freeman Sims, or you just go by Eric Sims?
Eric Freeman Sims, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say it's a
it's a mouthful, but you know.
It's a fun name, but I didn't know if it might have been like a screen name or something. But
no, that's my
Sims,
professional name or whatever.
I mean, it's a nice strong name, nice American name. 3 names, could be an assassin. Not going to judge. Right. You're the host of the Unseen Paranormal Podcast, based out of Central Tennessee. The podcast, from what I could tell, my little digging, a lot like this one, discuss paranormal and high strangeness, ranging from ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs. The one thing I do different is, y'all do everything in between as well. I add kind of science and true crime every once in a while, and I'm sure you do. But you can be found on audio podcasts, including iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, and about a dozen more that I didn't recognize the symbol.
Oh, there's probably 30 or 40.
There's a bunch. Like everything has its own podcast symbol, and the little RSS feed sends it out to everybody. And that's why you get 1% views from like Malaysia and shit. Yeah. Like who invited them? And you can find them on unseenparanormalpodcast.com. And there is a convention they're hosting coming out. He is hosting. They are hosting Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo at tnhauntsandlegendsexpo.com.
Yeah, that'll be coming up in October 21st.
Yeah, October. Yeah, wow. That'll be almost my 1-year anniversary of getting this sucker started. First time I went to it, and I typed in the Haunting and Legends Expo, and it didn't work. I'm like, well, that's a dead link.
Wait a minute. We did a smaller one last year at Lebanon Fairgrounds, and I kind of come in on the tail end of it last 2 weeks, and we kind of saved it from being canceled. And so this year we kind of got our ducks in the row, and we're doing it at the Nashville Fairgrounds, way bigger. So we'll have over 80 vendors, got a whole schedule of speakers from everything from TV's Ghost Hunters to the Bell Witch to authors and all kind of good stuff.
Okay, right turn off the bat. How much do you know about the Bell Witch? I know it's close to Bell Buckle.
Quite a lot. Pat Fitzhugh,
the most fascinating thing to me.
Yeah, Pat Fitzhugh is kind of the expert on the legend. He's been researching for like 40 years. I've had him on my show, and he was a speaker last year, and he'll be a speaker this year at our expo. But he's got like 3 books, working on the 4th. And as far as the legend of the Bell family goes, it's a crock. There's no records to say that it really happened. And Kate Batts, she supposedly was the Bell Witch and cursed the family or whatever, but there's no evidence that she was a witch. She owned property adjacent to them, and she was married and had kids and things like that. She wasn't some like old witch out in the woods living by herself. And there's nothing to prove that her and John Bell ever had a disagreement over land, because back then she wouldn't have been the one that had the disagreement with him. It would have been her husband, because she was married. And but as far as the cave being haunted, the cave definitely is haunted there, and the stories of people sending back rocks and things like that are true. I got the episode that I talked to Pat Fitzhugh on. We got Candy on too, and she's the head tour guide for the Bell Witch Cave, and her family's owned the property and the cave and ran it since she was 12. And so she's got so many stories of the haunting and that type of stuff. But as far as the legend goes, a lot of people like to point towards the story about Andrew Jackson going to the Bell Farm, but actually in the records that we know of, Andrew Jackson wasn't even in Tennessee when this was going on. He was like everywhere else in the country. Now, he did have an office in that part of Tennessee. Andrew Jackson had a law office, so he probably knew the Bell family and in Adams there. But as far as him ever being there, they have the diaries of like his entourage, like the soldiers that went with him everywhere with Andrew Jackson, and even in their diaries, none of them ever say anything about the Bell Witch. So all those stories about one of his guys getting thrown out of the house and all the other stuff. There's just nothing to back it up that ever happened. It makes a great story. It's a great legend. And Adams, Tennessee, I mean, that's how they make their money as far as tourism. But the cave is haunted, and they definitely, Candy told a story about a lady when they reopened this year after COVID, because they were closed for 2 years for COVID. When they reopened, this lady came from somewhere else out of town and did a tour through the cave, and she apparently took a rock as a souvenir. Well, she went into town and to get lunch with her family, and she fell and broke her leg. So she went to the hospital, and Candy said when she got out of the hospital, she had her family drive her right back to the cave, and they gave the rock back. So
I just wonder, like, what are the odds of something, that the rumor mill kind of thing happening on a haunted farm?
Yeah,
that's the part that fascinates me, because I heard it was just like it was either a fake dispute or something made up. As you just said, it's a crock. Yeah. But then all of a sudden the cave is like Robert the Doll.
Well, part of that I think is the cave is because of Native Americans.
That checks out.
Yeah, sacred area. Whenever they built the highway through there, they actually dug up stone box graves, and the stone box grave that is in the cave, when you go tour it, actually came from where they dug it up in the highway and they reinterred it in the cave. And so, but that's what Candy believes too. That it's more Native American as far as the hauntings go. Because also, if you go take their like lantern tour around in September, October. If you take lantern, and back behind it is a bunch of Indian mounds, burial mounds. So that whole area was, sacred land for Native people.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Like why would it just be randomly haunted?
Yeah.
It's that close. And I've thought about it before. You watch all the cheesy documentaries on it, and it's kind of close to you, close to half as close to you as it is to me, but still within that kind of attraction. Almost like Salem-esque, adjacent. That being that close is something you want to see. But I've often thought maybe it's there was a possession involved that caused some kind of turmoil. But
you got to think also back then in the 1800s. I mean, if something did happen, the teenage daughter, she could have been schizophrenic because those type of mental illnesses. Yeah. Those type of mental illnesses tend to show up like in a lot of them show up mid to late teenage years. And so, maybe she was schizophrenic, hearing voices, schizoaffective disorder, what they call it now. But, hearing voices, seeing things like that. And, some of the things, I mean, back then they also thought a lot of things were more paranormal than what they are too.
Yeah.
And, John Bell, with him getting sick and dying all of a sudden and all that, it doesn't mean that he was poisoned. I mean, he could have had appendicitis and died quickly from sepsis.
It was the 1800s. He could have went outside.
Yeah. I mean, Oregon Trail, you died of dysentery. So,
copperhead bite over with.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody lived back then.
Yeah.
I'd be dead. My kids wouldn't be alive right now. Over with.
Well, and that's why they had 10 kids, because they only knew that 3 or 4 were going to make it to adulthood. As sad as that is, but that's
the truth.
Yeah.
John Bell.
But another thing about the cave that correlates to other sites kind of around the world, with people sending rocks back and arrowheads and things they've taken out of there, even places like the Petrified Forest out in Arizona, the park rangers get people sending back. They'll take little pieces of the petrified wood that they found on the ground as a souvenir, and people claim that they have bad luck because of that it's cursed. And so the National Park Service gets thousands of people from all over the world sending pieces of petrified forest back. So there are other places that the same thing happens too. So it's an interesting phenomenon for sure.
I wonder how many of the people that how many of the park rangers, maybe like a noob, just doing it for the summer, gets to the mail and then takes it home to be a smart ass and has to bring it back the next day after his cat jumps into a wood chipper or something.
Right. Right.
Like just doubling down.
Yeah. I mean, also, if you're just taking a little like pebble, a little piece of it, what if you took like a big chunk? Does that make your luck even worse?
I wonder what would haunt or what would make a petrified forest cursed, unless it was sacred to the Indians, of course.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Native Americans.
Well, I mean, as far as being the fossilized trees, I think that would have been long before Native Americans. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
My
definitely
favorite-
interesting.
My favorite fossilized fact is there's caves in the Appalachians without fossils in them because they were formed before fossils were around. I love that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
No fossils in there because they were made before bones. I said it before. So you're up there in Fairview, Tennessee.
Yeah, outside of Nastyville.
I'm doing my thing where I look at maps while I talk. Sorry,
You're fine.
I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah, I live right outside of Nashville, born and raised. One of the rare Nashville natives nowadays. It's all
oh yeah,
bachelorette parties and people from California and
Yes.
Michigan. Yeah.
Now, have you ever been down to the Fayetteville hospital that Sin, like for a better word, haunts?
I have not. Of course I've seen Ghost Adventures when they were there, and which was, I don't know if she told you about that, but
She did. It was great.
yeah, it was all scripted and all that shit. But
I freaking love it. Every paranormal person I get on here, it talks about Zach Bacon, and I'm here for it.
Man, what a tool. Everybody that I know, sorry, I just spilled my water. Paracelebrity wise, everybody that I know that I've talked to, they're all like, yeah, he's a tool. And what he's doing is not paranormal. It's all fake. And the fact that I keep hearing from various people when I talk to them, they're all like, yeah, that show's scripted. So kind of on my show, I've made it my mission to talk smack about him and to let people know that paranormal TV it's entertainment first and foremost. Most of the shows are not real. I've even heard about some of the paracelebs. I have a couple of paracelebrity friends that were on Ghost Hunters, but they're the real deal. I respect both of them, Brandon Alvis and Mustafa Gadalori, but I respect both of them immensely, and they are actual investigators. But I've heard about some of the other TV people when they've done events that they didn't even know what they were doing as far as investigating during the event. So they relied on somebody else to lead the event, even though they're supposed to be the investigator doing the event. Everything you see on TV for sure.
So it's basically like the those hunting shows that were famous back in the 90s. I used to watch. They would go to these giant farms out in Texas,
yeah,
and say they're hunter experts, but it would just be you're guaranteed to shoot one because they're farmed up.
Yeah, some of those fishing shows that were popular back then were the same way. They would go to like a stocked lake instead of just where the fish are on top of each other. And yeah, I mean, but I think a lot of people, I mean, especially with what's going on with Zach Baggins here lately in the news, I think people are figuring him out. And I've seen with doing events and things, especially in talking to people over the past couple of years, I've seen a kind of a shift in just the general public. Not as far as like us that are knee deep like in the paranormal all the time, but just the general public, people watch those shows and stuff that are finally starting to understand. No, that's crock shit. And,
him jumping and screaming doesn't help anything either.
Yeah, and getting possessed every episode. And,
yep.
There's always some demonic something.
I lost my Zach Bacon's innocence in the basement of the Sorrel Weed House in Savannah, doing a tour. And the guide who looked like John Waters, like it's like, witnessed Zach fake a possession down here, and I'm just standing here looking at him.
Yeah,
I'm like Zach Bacon's fake? What? you can't fake that. What do you mean?
Well, he comes by earnest because if you ever watch that show, the English show Most Haunted from the UK, that's what I grew up watching, and before the ghost shows were ever big here, that's kind of what it got the paranormal reality shows going, was most haunted. And there's a supposed psychic on there named Derek Okora, and he got possessed every episode, and he was a big drama queen. And then it was this big thing in the tabloids whenever they found out that he, was fake, and, all that they were doing was fake and scripted. And so their show kind of went in the shitter after that, and didn't really recover. It was one of the most popular shows in the UK. And but yeah, Zach Baggins takes it from like that, and then like he's connected with the Warrens, which I think the Warrens are ridiculous too. They were in it for the money. Maybe they didn't start out that way, but ultimately they became in it for the money.
Yeah, that world I didn't realize was it's almost akin to the mega church preachers.
Yeah.
Kind of world. Like they don't care about the actual source material, just as long as somebody will watch them.
Yeah. And I was actually, it's funny because 3 years ago when I started my podcast, I was told by somebody who's been in the paranormal entertainment business for a long time. They told me, they said, do not talk smack about Zach Baggins or the Warrens on your show, or you'll get blacklisted.
Black.
Yeah.
Is that the worst thing in the world?
The Warren Mafia, or, the Zach Baggins Warren Mafia or whatever. I've never been blacklisted. My show does just fine. So I talk smack about them both all the time. But people ask me all the time about like Amityville Horror. That was all about money, because book, TV, movie, all that stuff. It was all about money. And also, anybody else who's ever lived in that house has never claimed any kind of paranormal activity whatsoever.
Which house are you talking?
Amityville Horror.
Oh, I thought you said somebody's name.
The Amityville Horror.
I thought you said Andrew a horror. I'm like, yeah.
Sorry,
I've heard that
fast sometimes.
That's fine. I'm sitting here being Jamie and Joe Rogan. You know how it is. And I've heard that was a crock of shit too.
Yeah.
It's kind of they were losing the house and they needed something.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the murders really did happen there, so there could be something there. I mean, Ronnie DeFeo really did kill his whole family. And there's some paranormal elements to that story too, because the way the family was found in their beds, none of them had gotten up. He shot them all while they were asleep, but he used a really loud, rifle. I think he used a rifle, either rifle or shotgun, but it didn't look like any of them had defensive wounds or anything. So they don't know how, and none of the neighbors ever heard gunshots, but he killed 6 members of his family. So execution style, and the mom and dad looked like they were asleep. So if he shot the mom first or the dad first, why didn't the other one wake up from the gunshot? But so there's some weird things there that if you go watch some of the documentaries about those murders with some of the detectives, that's the one thing that they say they can't explain, and kind of pointed them towards maybe he had an accomplice, but weird there.
I'm remembering all the docs I've seen on them. It's all coming back. I wonder if they drugged them or something, like they ate them.
Yeah,
they went and had dinner and they gave them all a bunch of pills or something.
Yeah, they could have.
Found a tox screening.
Well, back in the 70s, I don't know if they would even be, I mean, because they were all shot. So would they have actually done a tox screen or even had the technology to pick up on certain things? But I mean, that's a possibility too. Yeah. But yeah, the Warrens, I mean, they went in there looking to make money the same way they went in the Conjuring house, looking to make money with that. Exactly the same. And you see that movie, the first one, and it looks like they were so involved, the Perrin family and all that. They were there one time at that house for about 4 hours. And that's when they did, and it wasn't an exorcism that they did. It was a seance they did. And that's when the mom got thrown across the room and all that. But the Warrens got kicked out after that. They tried to come back and the dad's like, no, you're not coming back. So they drag out this whole movie like they were all part of this, and they weren't. So
she did get thrown across the room in real life?
Yeah, she did, and they thought she was dead. Yeah, they thought she was dead. I had Andrea Perrin on my show, who was the oldest daughter, and she wrote a 3-volume book series about all their time in that house, and they lived there. I think they sold the house. They moved in when she was 12. She was the oldest of the kids, and they sold the house when she was 22. So there was like 10 years that they lived there. But yeah, she said that it was the single scariest thing she's ever seen in her life, that when her mom got thrown across the room, that they thought she was dead, and then she started moving around and things. But yeah, but that's about she told me that about 5% of that movie, and she was a consultant on there because they allowed the production company the writers to actually use their real names. And so Andrea was kind of the family representative and a consultant on the movie, and she said about 5% of what's in the movie is true, and about 5% of the Warrens. Yeah. So,
what is that? The one where they did the? I'm getting that and Insidious mixed up in my brain. Is that the one where she was outside listening to Tiptoe Through the Tulips with the little guy in the living room? I know you know what I'm talking. Yeah.
I think that's Insidious.
Yeah, it is. She looks back in the house and sees the little conductor guy dancing.
Yeah, I think that's Insidious. Yeah.
I get those two mixed up. What I don't get mixed up is Paranormal Activity, because that scared the crap out of me the first time I saw it.
Steven Spielberg, he was the executive producer on the first one, and they sent him back then it was DVDs, and so they sent him a pre-screened DVD before the movie came out, and he had Paranormal Activity in his house. Like some things happened when they sent the DVD, so he sent the DVD back to the production company, and he said he didn't want it because he thought it was haunted.
I don't doubt it. I found a bootleg copy after I'd seen it, and I was watching it in my house, and the ice maker went off. Oh my God. I've told that story before. I jumped and turned lights on and freaked out. I'm like, first of all, I stole this tape, or I stole this DVD from the internet, and it's coming to get me.
That was one of those movies that people thought was real for the longest time, kind of like the Blair Witch, and then people found out.
Yeah.
They just marketed it that way, but
I knew it wasn't real, but God, it was scary.
Yeah.
When it amped up and that he left that planchette on that Ouija board and it moved around by itself and slung off.
Yeah.
That's dangerous in real life.
I would love to be on an investigation and see some shit like that.
Yeah, but it's almost always bad when that happens.
Well, I've been investigating for over 20 years since I was a teenager, and I've never come across anything demonic or evil.
Yeah, that's what Sin said. She's not yet.
Yeah. No, and I've done this for a long time.
What about hitchhikers? You ever had any of those?
I do. I have one in my house actually that followed me home when I was a teenager. And
what does it do?
From Carton Plantation in Franklin, and he hangs out. He makes noise every once in a while. I see him every once in a while, but he's been around for a long time.
What's it, like a dude?
Yeah, it's a Civil War soldier. I've seen him a couple times. He's got a red beard, short red beard. Short red hair, tall, pacey looking guy.
Is it Carton?
Carton Plantation in Franklin. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, we used to sneak in there, and because we heard it was haunted, and this is before the TV shows, and so we didn't know what we were doing, but we took video camera and stuff, and we'd go up there, and I seen and experienced lots of things. Me and my friends did, but one night, my friends all used to ride with me because I had an SUV. And so we'd all pile in my Montero, and I took them all home across town. And when I come back across town, it was that feeling of like somebody sitting behind me. So I kept looking in the rearview mirror. And so when I get home, beautiful place, awesome history. But when I get home, I come in the house and it's just me and my mom. And I go in my bedroom and everything's dark. And I hear boots walk down the hall. And then under the door, I can see 2 feet. The shadows, and then turns and walks down the hall, and he's been here ever since. So,
just hanging out.
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, we can cohabitate, but you're going to leave me alone. He started off like shaking my bed in the middle of the night, trying to get my attention, I guess. And I had to have a come to Jesus meeting and be like, no.
So look here, buddy.
Yeah, we can cohabitate, and you're welcome to hang out, but we're not going to have none of that.
So now, if that happens, this street view here, I'm trying to just get a picture. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Cool. So when that happens, and like you said, it's been 10 years or so, 10 or 20.
Oh, it's been over 20. Yeah.
How long does it take to get used to a haunting in your house, even if it's just kind of peaceful like that one?
Well, I've had paranormal experiences my whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He startles me every once in a while, but as far as being scared of him, no, because he's never done anything to make me scared of him. But I've also, like I said, been doing this for so long, investigating for so long. I mean, I'm the one that, when you see or hear something down the hallway, I'm the one like running towards it when we're investigating to figure out what it is. But it took a little while. I mean, getting woken up in your sleep with your bed shaking is kind of weird and scary. And then finally, I guess I just, after a little while of that, I just got kind of tired of it. It was like, all right, either I find a way to get rid of you or you're going to leave me alone, And so
you get a priest in here if you don't calm it down, buddy.
Yeah.
You don't know his name? Did you find out his name?
I do not know his name, but I've seen him. I could draw a picture of him. I've seen him so many times.
Oh yeah.
But the 2 rules are, when I'm asleep, leave me alone. and do not pop up behind me in a mirror. That's my 2 rules.
Think of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be standing at the sink in the bathroom and you pop up behind me.
No jump scares, buddy.
No
jump scares, Colonel. I'm part of that.
None of that Bloody Mary Candyman shit. You know? But out at Carton Plantation, man, they don't do paranormal investigations out there. The director, the Franklin Battlefield Trust owns it, and the director wants nothing to do with paranormal. But I've even heard that he's told the tour guides not to even talk about experiences they had. If he finds out they did, then I'll fire him. So
what a loser.
Yeah, but they can make so much more money. I mean, they do weddings and stuff out there, and they do tours, but man, they can make $1,000 a night to, do an investigation out there. It's a huge property, and it's a huge house. But I've had so many experiences out there. I saw a full body apparition of a lady pull the curtains back and poke her in the window one night. I'm pretty sure that was probably Miss McGavick, who was the lady of the house. That house is crazy. It still has ginormous bloodstains in the floors because during the Battle of Franklin, that was the main hospital. And so they used that house as the main hospital, and the battle pretty much happened on the front lawn. And so all of the wounded and dying were taken there, and they did all these amputations. So up in the south facing window of the on the second floor, right in front of it, because that's where they would have the most light for the surgeon to do amputations and things, there's huge bloodstains. And the story goes, and this comes from like diaries of soldiers and things, that they did so many amputations that the body parts stacked from the ground all the way to the second story window.
Whew.
And so it was a lot of blood. And, back then they didn't wash their hands or anything. The only time the surgeon would like clean his hands off is they got too sticky with blood. And so they just kept, chopping limbs off. And so, but yeah, there's these bloodstains in there. So many people died there. I mean, there was 2,500 casualties in 5 hours. During the Battle of Franklin. That's the actual front of the house. The other picture you had with the two story with the big columns, that's the back of the house. This is the actual front. So this is how visitors would have come up and saw the house.
And this is like the south, is it? Oh, look at it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It'd have been one of the
south facing windows.
Yeah, one of those 2 windows up there. I think it's the one closer to the porch there. But yeah. And then over, if you scroll over to our left, Confederate cemetery down there, that's where a bunch of these soldiers, the McGavick Cemetery, that's the family that owned the plantation. They named it Carton because they came from Ireland, and Carton was the name of the town they came from in Ireland. And so they called it Carton Plantation when the McGavicks, but McGavicks are one of the founding families in Nashville. And you got McGavick Pike, McGavick High School. The McGavicks even built Two Rivers Mansion in Nashville, which is another plantation home. But
a dog man?
I don't know. That's creepy.
A dog man sighting.
Yeah, Carton Plantation during the middle of the day. But all those Confederate soldiers that are buried there, they actually, when the Battle of Franklin happened, they buried them basically where they died. And the McGavick family paid this doctor and these other 2 guys to go around town and dig the bodies up, because by the next summer, of course, they're just in shallow graves, so the smell is so horrific that the citizens of Franklin want something done about it. But the McGavick spent their own money to have them all reinterred there. And there's a book of the dead that you can look at when you go to visit that cemetery that tells you all the names of people that they know of. But also they've got it separated by state. But also during the Civil War, I mean, they didn't wear dog tags and things like that. So they just had to look at letters or diaries or whatever they had in their pockets to find out, what their name was. And some of the families came and claimed the dead and took them, to wherever they came from, Arkansas, Alabama, whatever, and buried them there. But there's forget how many graves are in there. Quite a few.
It looked pretty substantial.
Yeah. So this is the reclaimed battlefield. It actually was a golf course for a long time. And yeah, we used to park at the clubhouse for the golf course and hop the fence. That's how we got on the property. I don't condone trespassing. That's what we did in high school. So
no, don't do that. End up as a Netflix special that way.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
these kids here do it.
Yeah.
These kids here definitely jump over there.
Next door is the actual. If you go over to your left, there's another big house over here where that circle is.
Mhm.
That big house right there where you got your cursor. That's actually was the son of the McGavics. He built that house, and I forget what it's called. It's a Windmere or something like that. But that was their son that built that house, and it's privately owned. It's still in the McGavick family, like descendants of the McGavics. But yeah, awesome property, haunted as shit. Walking across that field from the house to the cemetery, because that's where we hopped the fence with the cemetery. I actually had a ghost horse run through me one time. Two of my friends were about 10 feet behind me, and they hadn't mowed the field in a while. It was about knee deep, the grass was. And we heard the galloping coming from like our left. And they're like, you hear that? It sounds like a horse galloping. And then we heard like a horse whinny. And, we're all three commenting on that. And then I just feel this breeze go through me. And in a straight line out the other side, we see the grass moving and still hear the horse galloping. And it just kind of fades off. And my friends come running up and they're like, did a fucking ghost horse just run through you? I'm like, I think so. So that was a very weird experience.
That's substantial.
Yeah.
And especially if the grass is still moving.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw the grass move, and like I had two witnesses, behind me that saw it. But like I said, I've had experiences my whole life. The earliest experience I can remember is when I was 8 or 9. I woke up out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night, and my bedroom door was open, and there was a glowing figure of a lady sitting on the door. And I jumped up and slammed the door and turned the light on because it scared the shit out of me. But
like at your parents' house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it supposed to be haunted, or is that?
No, my parents bought this house new. So
I don't like that at all. My house is new.
Yeah. So, I'm an empath, and so
I was about to ask what.
Yeah.
Hey, why is your veil so thin?
Yeah, I'm an empath, so I always say that we're lighthouses in the dark. So we're like a beacon, and we kind of attract things. My mom was a really strong empath too. She's passed away now, but she's a very strong empath as well. I'm better with living people's energy, reading people. Like in the first 30 seconds, I know when I meet somebody in person whether I like them or not, just from the feeling that I get. People that are like my intuition when it kicks in with the empath thing, it's like two magnets repelling each other. Like my body wants me to get as far away from somebody as possible if there's something they're bad or for whatever reason. But I've always been like that. Not so much. I've never really opened myself up to even though I investigate the dead, I've never really opened myself up to dead energy much. I feel things around me sometimes when we go investigate and things like that. But yeah, I'm pretty good with living people's energy. Yeah, but I still think the empath stuff draws things in. Like I said, like a lighthouse in the dark, because we have transient spirits that come through the house sometimes too.
It's got to. I hear like hobos moving through.
Yeah.
From the ones I've seen online with their little mini docks.
You remember
down the street?
You remember in the movie Ghost where Whoopi Goldberg is actually psychic at that time, and then she says, "All right, enough's enough," and all the people stand up and walk through the wall, but they looked real. That's kind of what I envision sometimes at my house when I'm trying to sleep. When I'm trying to go to sleep, is like, this whole like line of people, waiting to get my attention or whatever.
You're just like the first thing that comes to any port in a storm.
Yeah. Anybody that can see them, I guess, and sense them. But
I bet it's been a solid 30 years since I've seen that movie.
Oh, I love that movie. It's one of my favorites.
I remember it being good. Also, I remember some bad pottery. I don't know. That song.
But yeah,
so is that Crampton House like the like your home base place you go all the time, or is there any place closer?
Oh, I wish I could go to the Carton House all the time. I mean, like I said, they don't allow any of that.
Oh yeah, you just said that.
Yeah. The Franklin Battlefield Trust, like I'm not talking smack about them. They've done really good things with reclaiming the battlefield from being a golf course, and like they own quite a few other. They've bought quite a few other historic homes and kind of restore them and keep them, And so they're all about the history, which is cool. But the paranormal is part of the history, and it's a way to connect to the history, I think. So,
Yeah, I was
But
about to say, like, why wouldn't you want to know that? Like, if you could possibly see a soldier,
right, or talk
who,
to get some answers out of somebody that lived there.
who wants to look at
Yeah.
a bunch of mini balls and you can actually look at the colonel himself?
Right.
Anybody can see mini balls.
Yeah. Our kind of home base has become Thomas House in Red Bull Springs. We Ghost Hunt Weekends. Chad Moran from Ghost Hunt Weekends, he does events up there just about every weekend. But on the weekends he's not there, we usually pick up and do an event every couple months. We've done 3 so far this year, and we've got one coming up in May that we sell tickets to, and people can come investigate with us and experience the Thomas House.
I'm looking that up. Thomas House.
Thomas House is Red Bull Springs, and it was a resort. They built 4 resorts, and Thomas House is one of them in that small town. They had healing mineral springs, and so that's why it's called Red Bull Springs. And it's actually not boiling. It looks like it boils out of the ground in the red clay, so they call it Red Bull Springs. But people came there from all around back in the 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s to be healed by the magical waters. And of course, nobody was. So a lot of people died at the Thomas House. They died at the Donahoe and the other 2 places that are in town there.
There they are. I see them now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Thomas House was just the main like hotel. There was lots of other buildings on the property as well. They had cabins and things that people could rent. They had a big bathhouse where the water came into a big pool and things. They even had a bowling alley that was 2 stories, and the first floor was a bowling alley, and the second floor was a dance hall. And so that property's had lots of things over the years. They still have a pool, and it was the community pool from like the 70s until the early 90s. Kids would come pay like 50 cents or whatever, swim all day. And one of the resident spirits at Thomas House is a kid named Edwin who drowned in the pool, and that's a true story. His brother was the lifeguard, and they would empty the pool out and come up to Thomas House, come up to the main house for lunch, and they would feed all the kids in the dining room. And when the lifeguard went back down there to open the pool back up, he found his own brother dead in the pool. And that happened in the 70s. And his
pool here.
Yeah, his name's Edwin. It has not been. It's a frog pond. It's not been used.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not it's not ready for human interaction.
Yeah.
It's green.
There may be some efforts to rehab it and open it back up for the community, but yeah, Thomas House is awesome. It's a unique place as far as investigating and holding events, because you get fed dinner, you get your own room for the night, you get to investigate for as long as you want, and you go to bed whenever you want, and then you get breakfast the next morning. And so all for we charge $125 a person, but there are rooms that are single person rooms, or we have rooms that are multiple beds. There's one room that has, I think, a queen and 2 twin beds in it. So we get groups that'll rent it out, and 4 people will stay in that room. And so it's a lot of fun though, but unique in the paranormal world for sure, as far as being able to comfortably spend the night, in your own room and have your own bathroom and all that stuff. But
it seems
that
like
place is amazing.
It seems like an industry that is untapped.
Yeah.
To anyone that if you could actually do it.
Yeah. But that's
big from.
It's a pretty good sized place.
Yeah, it didn't look big from the air. It looks big from the ground.
Yeah.
From the ground,
2 wings. It was built back in the late 1800s by the Cloyd brothers, and they opened it up as a resort for mineral springs. It didn't have there's no fireplaces or anything in the place, because it was a summer resort. They actually boarded up the windows and things in the wintertime, and it wasn't open. So there's no fireplaces in there, which is interesting. But there's 2 wings. One of the wings burnt down. The whole place burnt down, because originally it was the original building that the Cloyd brothers built was a wood building, and it burned down in 1927, and they rebuilt the brick structure you see today in 1929. And one of the wings burnt down. They rebuilt it exactly how it was. There was a fire in the other wing, and then the other wing got taken out by a tornado, and it's all been rebuilt. but definitely interesting history with the Cloyd family. We believe that one of the Cloyd brothers and his wife still reside there as spirits. They're kind of some of the resident ghosts there, but interesting things happen there. We talked to Edwin quite a lot too, and then room 37 is notorious for Sarah's room. If anybody's ever seen the Thomas House on Ghost Hunters or Portals to Hell or any of those, Sarah's room is supposedly a little girl ghost. Sarah was a real person. She actually died in her 20s. She wasn't a little girl when she died. She died of appendicitis, is what they think. But she was the niece of the Cloyds, and she lived there and had her own room there. And room 37 was her own room.
I remember seeing this on one of those shows. I just recognized Sarah's room.
Yeah. Portals to Hell, I think, was the last show to be there. Paranormal State, I think Paranormal State was the first TV show. In 2012, CNN, I don't know why CNN, but CNN said it was the most haunted place in America. So, has a reputation. There's a church across the street that Portals to Hell said there was some demonic over there. It's not. He's just an asshole spirit. The church has fallen in. Well, it was a preacher. His name was Reverend Blankenship. And this is a true story as well. There's historical records for this. He hung himself in the church because he got caught cheating on his wife with a parishioner's wife. Mm-hmm. And he also got caught for embezzlement, and he hung himself in the church. But the church, because of all the water running through there, the springs and stuff, a huge sinkhole is opened under the church. So it is caving in this way and this way. So you can't go in the church anymore. But
the one across the street?
Yeah.
Okay.
We still go over there and investigate the outside. These are pictures, that Elk Valley Paranormal sent Trader Hills group, and these are pictures that she took when we were there a couple weekends ago.
And this was I was gonna say, you just said that's from Sin's group.
Yeah, and that was room 5. That room is the only room you can stay in that's downstairs. But that's the foyer that you're just showing there in the check-in desk.
I'll go back. She's got 2 or 3 posts on here.
Yeah. So that's the front door where you walk in. This is the desk where you check in. If you go to your right, past the check-in desk, that's where, I don't know if the picture's on here, but that's the big dining room through that door right there. There's the dining room. But a beautiful place.
Do you know the person that runs it, or you just go and stay there sometimes?
No, we've become really good friends with the family that own it. They're the Cole family. And the reason it's called the Thomas House now is because their mom, who she just passed away last year, Miss Evelyn, she was 92. And she's one of those people, like, I feel really lucky to have known her and picked her brain about the history and things like that. And she was also an antiques dealer. So she was like a great historian about just different things in history. But so all the things that you see, all the furniture and stuff is a lot of antiques that she had picked up over the years, being an antique dealer. A lot of them came from famous people. I know there's a bed in one of the rooms that came from P.T. Barnum, who owned, the Greatest Show on Earth circus. Mm-hmm. There's a room that is antique French furniture, and all that furniture came from Alan Tipper Gore, our former vice president. And there's various other things to there. But no, David and Daryl, the brothers that own it now, they're awesome people. They're amazing people. And they treat us like family because we've been there so many times. But they trust us with the place. They turn the place over to us and they go to bed. So, because they live there. One of the wings, the one brother, Daryl, him and his wife have turned it into a 2-story loft kind of apartment. And then David lives that hallway you just showed with all the shelves with all the vases and knickknacks and things. He lives on that side in the downstairs. That's his own private quarters. But there's the stairs that go upstairs. That's a view when you first walk in the door. That's kind of what you see. There's a creepy mannequin up there. They had a creepier one. Yeah, they had a creepier one before they moved it. They put those lights in because when we're investigating in the dark, those stairs get pretty dark. So they put those rope lights in.
So it's a place. There's a screen.
That's our DVR system.
I'll say, is it yours?
Yeah, that's our DVR system set up. So there's 2 hallways upstairs here. You get on this. Well, there's 3 hallways. You get down that hallway and take a left. There's a bunch of rooms down through there. We call that the dark hallway, not because of anything negative. It's dark green, just like the wallpaper you see here. And then if you go down the other hallway, which is to your right, that's Sarah's hallway. The other hallway, if you take a right at the top of the stairs, we call that the light hallway, just because the wallpaper is white with like green stripes or something. So,
what is it you said Sarah did? She still messes around.
She's still around there, and she shows herself in the form of a child, but she was in her 20s when she died. That door goes out to the front porch, the second story porch. And the story there is that a guy caught his wife cheating with another guy, and they were staying at Thomas' house, and they had a fight that spilled out onto the second story porch, and the husband that caught them shot the guy, and he fell and died on the front steps. So there's that's the story. There's no historical anything to prove that ever happened. So there's these different rooms. Like you see, that was the Santa Claus room that they have blocked off. It's got nothing but like Christmas stuff in it. There's a doll room they have blocked off just like that with the white gate. They've got a Gone with the Wind room that has a huge replica of the Gone with the Wind house from the movie. But yeah, they have all this stuff in there that's just antiques everywhere. There's the big recreation of the Gone with the Wind. That's the Gone with the Wind room. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That scared me in the dark. I don't know why. I don't know. This just it kind of feels like home. That room right there that's room 19. That's the murder room. Room. Yeah, and that's verifiable too. There was a guy that got killed in there. He got shot and killed in there. I think he died in the bathroom, if I remember correctly. That's what we call the dark hallway because of the dark wallpaper. That's the sitting room at the end. We have a lot of activity in that room. Really? What kind does it have? I'm noticing the balls and stuff.
Yeah, the balls will move around on their own when you ask.
Yeah,
it's crazy. The flashlight will come on and off on command. We'll have K2s and other things with lights on them go off on and off on command. We've gotten lots of EVPs down at the end of that hallway too. But this room was the a traveling salesman, and this is verifiable fact too. A traveling salesman died in that room. He had a massive heart attack or something, and I forget. I think his name was Richard, and he comes across on a lot of stuff, and we'll chat with you sometimes. But also on that hallway is where Miss Cloyd is seen, who we believe is Miss Cloyd. She's seen in a Victorian style dress with like the lace all the way up to the neck in a black dress, and we've caught a picture of what we think is her. On this picture right here, it would be to the left side. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall. And wait, let's see. No, it would be to the right. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall, and we got a picture, and the shadow is blocking it out. But then there's a mirror that you can see a lady in. Caught all kinds of EVPs. We caught Sarah saying her name quite a few times. Last time I was there, we caught the same EVP of Sarah saying her name, Sarah, on both recorders at the same time. So
it was a Class A?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can definitely hear it. It's loud and clear. And then I was recording on my phone, on my voice recorder on my phone, and then somebody else was recording on a recorder, and at the same time. And then we stopped them at the same time. But on his recorder, we got a loud male voice that talks directly into the microphone. It's really loud. You don't even need headphones or anything to hear it. We don't know what it says, but it's a gruff male's voice. But it didn't record on my phone, and my phone was sitting right beside it, which is pretty crazy. But it sounds like he's saying Anson or Handsome or something like that, but you can't really make it out.
There's a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, so we were down the hallway, and somebody just snapped a picture, and there's the silhouette, the shadow that's blocking out that fire extinguisher, and then in the mirror you see the lady's face. But they catch a lot of faces in that mirror too. And if you believe that mirrors are portals, on the direct other side of that wall in that bedroom, there's another mirror. So you have a mirror portal there. If you believe in that, I don't know how much I believe in that, but
I don't know.
Another thing that we get a lot at Thomas' house, and I've never seen it anywhere else, of the thousands of pictures I've taken over the years, and this has happened on multiple cell phone cameras and multiple cameras, but you'll get grayed out spots in your photos. One time, the very first time it ever happened, one of my investigative partners, Lee from Medics for Paranormal, he was taking the picture with a cell phone of David, the owner, who was sitting at the end of one of the dining room tables while they're eating dinner. And David's face is grayed out, and it looks like somebody else's face is superimposed over his. And that round mirror that you were just showing, I took a series of about 15 pictures in that mirror, trying to catch the face in the mirror. And this is about 9 o'clock in the morning. And there was a pink chair that you can see in the picture. And this gray mass just grows and grows and grows, and then it disappears on my picture. But it's like almost like black and white is taking over the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like part of the picture is turning black and white. It's kind of what
it's being photoshopped before your eyes.
Yeah, and you can still see like the chair and stuff through the gray. It's clear. It's like, it's translucent, but it's just that part of the picture is grayed out. And then there was another picture of a couple other people that were in the corner of the dining room where they set up the buffet style food, and they always leave the dessert out for us all night so we can sugar ourselves up if we need to. And there were 2 people sneaking dessert, and they had the gray stuff like on them. And so that was taken with a completely different camera. And I've never seen that ever again. So this picture is not mine. This is Sims' picture. But I took a picture just like this from down this hall. Down at the end of the hallway, that room on the left, you see how you can see the white pillow and the bedspread? That's the bed. I have a picture of a shadow poking its head out, blocking out that white pillow and white quilt that's on that bed.
On this one right here?
Yeah, the room to the left. Yeah. When I zoomed in, it's a shadow that's blocking it out down there. Not on this picture. This is Sin's picture. Yeah, on the picture I took a while back.
I mean, I was looking for the bed. Where's the bed?
Down at the end, you can see it through the doorway. See the white? That's the pillow and the comforter is white.
I see it now. I see it. I thought I was looking out a window.
No, that's
that's a damn bed.
Yeah, that's the bed and the comforter. The foot of the bed faces the door.
Yeah, I see it.
But people complain about a man bumping around in that room, a male spirit bumping around in that room. But yeah, Thomas House is. I've been there because we stay there. Because when we do events up there, we sell tickets. You can come investigate with us, and like I said, you get food, room, and all that stuff. So we have one group on Friday night, and then we have a completely different group of people on Saturday. So we're there from about 1 o'clock on Friday until about 11 or 12 on Sunday.
But what's the
we're there the whole weekend.
Percentage of people
that we leave for a little while on Saturday, usually to go to Walmart or whatever.
Oh, your audio caught up with you there. Sorry. Every once in a while it'll lag and you'll catch up like you're talking in super fast motion. I'm like, whoa. What's the percentage of people who see things there? Is it almost guaranteed? Not just see, but hear, experience.
We always, every time we have a group there, we always have activity. And some nights it's a lot more, like it's amped up for whatever reason. And some nights it's less, but we usually have just about everybody experiences something, whether it be through the SS method, EVP, roundtable EVPs, or EVPs in general, or seeing things, seeing shadows, or and things like that. There's also weird EMF anomalies in the place that I can't explain. I call myself a skeptical believer because, yes, I believe in it because I've seen so much shit throughout my life, but I'll be the first one to try to debunk something too, because I don't want to jump to conclusions that everything's paranormal. But down that dark hallway, I've taken an EMF meter and found a bubble of EMF that's just free floating in the middle of the hallway. And that should be impossible, especially if it's something coming from wiring or whatever. It should have a source, but this is a bubble. I've found it in various spots of that hallway, I think 3 times now.
Could be a portal just chilling there, you know?
Well, there's been plenty of people that said there's portals there. I don't know if it's a portal or an apparition, that's not trying to show themselves or something. I've also seen once or twice, I've seen, I guess they call them fireflies, but it looks like glitter in the dark. Like some sort of static discharge or something trying to manifest something. That's interesting. This last time we were up there, when sent to those pictures, the second night I got an EVP of what sounds like somebody hooting. And it happened in 2 different places. Once in Sarah's room, and then once we were down the hallway doing a SS Method EVP session, and it's another hoot. The weirdest EVP I've ever gotten was actually down in that dark hallway. We were asking questions there, and this has been a few months ago. This happened, and we were talking about that story that I said about the guy catching his wife cheating and shot the other guy. It's a voice that says click, click, boom.
Ooh.
That's what it says and it's clear as day on the recording. And so yeah, we get some interesting stuff, but there is some evidence that if you believe in portals, there may be a portal there, because we get random spirits that through there sometimes that, you know, their names will come across on like the Geoport or on an EVP, and it's not anybody that's connected with the place. But you also don't know how many people died there, because you had all these people come, suffering from cancer or other ailments that came to be healed.
Yeah.
And then they died there, but there's no record of them, you know. And so
the Springs, it could have just been like a plethora of people.
Yeah. Or like right next door, you have the Donahoe, which is huge as well. And the Donahoe's been there. I mean, it was one of the resorts too. So, I mean, you could have spirits coming over from the Donahoe. Who knows? You know.
What was the story with the water, the boiling springs? Was it actual hot springs or what?
No, it bubbles out of the ground, but it bubbles out of the like Tennessee red clay.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that it's just with water bubbling out of the ground. It's a constant like 50-something degrees year round.
Okay, so it's not like out in Montana where the water is hot.
No, it's not like Yellowstone or anything. No, it just looks like it's, you know, with the red clay, it just looks like it's bubbling. Yeah.
We have stuff similar to that around here. It's the springs up in the hollers and stuff. It bubbles up a little.
Yeah.
Red Bowling Springs. It checks out. That explains the red part.
That place is awesome. I've been there 8 weekends now over the past few years. And so, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, we have another weekend come up in May. We'll be selling tickets May 12th and 13th. And I've got to get those tickets up for sale here soon. But, yeah, like I said, it's $125 a person. You get dinner, ghost hunt, breakfast the next morning, get your own room for the night with your own bathroom and everything.
So, how crazy would that be? Actually have some kind of experience, because that's my thing. I want to like experience a ghost, but not in my own house. Like I don't want the hitchhiker effect thing. I wouldn't be okay with that.
I'm the only person I know that's ever really taken anything home. And I mean, he's still here because I welcome him to stay here. But I know people who have maybe had a hitchhiker for maybe a few days, and then weird stuff will go on when their house is not, you know, ever been haunted, and then it kind of goes back to wherever it came from. Yeah,
I had a coworker whose mom is an empath, and she can does all this stuff. She psychics. I'd have to go through. She was on here before, and you know, it's one of those things where you know she's not a charlatan, because you know you know this person for years, and they're not telling a lie, but they experience like a demonic presence up in the Doe Run Inn in Kentucky, and after that experience, it was like so traumatizing. So much stuff happened in one night that my coworker, her daughter, had a shadow person for a few weeks.
Oh shit.
She goes, I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah. Shadow people. I had. You ever heard of Mike Ricksecker? He's a talking head on a bunch of the TV shows and stuff. But I've had him on my show. He's also an author, and he has his own show called The Shadow Dimension that you can watch on YouTube, I think, for free. But I don't like to call anybody in the paranormal experts, because you can't be an expert in something you can't prove, right? But I would call him an expert on the shadow people phenomena, because he's done so much research and written books, and he's done a TV show about it. But he also grew up having shadow person experiences in his house all the time. He actually is one of the only people I ever know that got touched by a shadow figure. And when he was a kid, it actually grabbed his arms and kind of like held him down. But his theory, I found his theory interesting on shadow people. He said that we all vibrate on a slightly different frequency. And some people vibrate on the frequency. So if you vibrate on the same frequency as this spirit, then you're going to see a full body apparition. But because your vibration is a little different than that spirit, you may see them as a mist, or you may see them as a shadow person. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on if you're on the same frequency as that particular spirit, then you're going to see them as a full person looking spirit. But if you're not, then you're going to see them in other ways. And so he thinks that shadow figures aren't anything extra dimensional or extraterrestrial, like some people theorize, but that it's just a different way to see spirits.
God, they're by far the most, I wouldn't say the most scary, but for some reason, the shadow people get me every time.
Well, I think it's psychological, because if you can see the face of something, right? As humans, we're programmed to do this. Then you kind of know their intentions, right? But if you can't see the face because they're all black, you don't know what their intentions are. And
it's
so
that
you
uncanny
can't
valley
read
thing.
them. Yeah, you can't read them. That's like one of the things that kind of weirds me out. There's in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, there's a story of ghost legs just running through this hotel, and that's all you see is the legs.
I've heard of those before.
Yeah,
the ghost legs.
I think if I saw that, it would scare me worse than seeing a full body apparition.
Isn't the story that they moved like the level up of whatever building that was?
Yeah, something like that. I think. Yeah, but just ghost legs, and but to me that would be spookier than I guess seeing a head. Yeah,
that's the kind of thing. Like anything crawling really fast freaks me out. I couldn't imagine ghosts.
Yeah. Also, ghost legs. I'm like, what the fuck are you running from? Like, do I need to run? Like.
Yeah, I definitely know my way around the old G-Burg. I go there more than I go to church nowadays, it seems.
Yeah, there's lots of hauntings out there. There's lots of crazy stuff out there.
Honey, what about the feral people? Hell.
Oh, yeah.
That's scarier than any ghost.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I listen to a lot of true crime. And you ever heard of Sword and Scale? It's like one of the biggest true crime podcasts out there.
I've heard. I never listened to it.
His motto is the worst monsters are real. And I subscribe to that for sure.
Truth.
Yeah. The living people are way worse than any ghost I've ever come across. And my motto on ghosts, as far as like anything negative, if you're an asshole in life, probably gonna be an asshole in death. That's kind of my motto on it. And why would your personality change just because you're dead? I mean, if we believe that your soul carries over, why wouldn't you be the same? If you're an asshole, in life, or you're a trickster in life or joker, why wouldn't you be doing the same thing, in the afterlife if you're hanging around?
Seems to be the truth. Sword and Scale. There they are. That wants me to sign into it. What? Get out.
Oh, that's their Patreon or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they do Patreon, but yeah, it's kind of weird. True crime's my palate cleanser when I want to get away from the paranormal. Because I listen to so much paranormal podcasts, especially when I'm doing research on a guest. Not only am I like reading their books, I'm also listening to them on other podcasts and things like that too, to kind of get a sense of the person they are and things. So yeah, I get tired of the paranormal sometimes with doing the podcast and investigating the events. But yeah, true crime's my go-to. And when the two cross over each other, that's my favorite. I wish it happened more often. Yeah.
I've got a big non-paranormal guest coming up next week, and I mean it's maybe the biggest one I've had as far as just looking for it. It's one of the men that stare at goats remote viewers.
Oh yeah, that's a cool subject.
And I kind of know, I'm friends with his family a little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of got it in, but he was on a Rogan show before.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard him on there. I know who you're talking about.
He was on he wasn't on JRE. He was on the Joe Rogan Questions Everything.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He was the guy he was sort of older, white, he was bald. His name's Paul Smith. He's supposed to be on next week. He agreed to it. Never gave me his email, so I never sent him a calendar, but he did say he put it on his calendar.
Well, hopefully he comes on. That'd be interesting.
And
conversation.
I worked with his nephew by marriage for like 10 years, and they live just across the river from me now. So hopefully it still happens. I'm not going to cry if he says no. Who the hell wants to come on this show?
Nah.
But yeah, I had to do a palate cleansing, like you said, because I was having all these like super, super woo-woo UFO people.
Yeah.
For a while, and I'm like, I'm going like to reality, thinking, is any of this real? What am I touching touching the wall? And then I had a lady on who was going to talk about Skinwalker, and she started just debunking the shit out of it. And I'm like, you know what? This is amazing. This actually felt like I was taking a medicine, I think it was like I was taking like a UFO decongestant. It felt so good. I was happy. I love Skinwalker too. I love that story. But I was so happy to hear somebody say something that wasn't just woo-woo as shit.
Right.
It felt good.
I got a couple of guys, UFO guys, that you'd probably like to have on. They're very fact based, non woo. People that I've had on, they're awesome guests.
Yeah, I may have to hit you up for that. I like the subject, but I don't like the people that say they went to Alpha Centauri and rode a horse.
Yeah. No, these guys are both very level headed.
Yeah.
One of them is a former police officer, police detective, and the other one, his name's Warren Jew, Malta. He's Maltese, and his accent's amazing. But his book that he wrote is very scientific and it's great. He's working on part 2 now. But great guy, great guest. Me and him are still friends on Facebook, still chat every once in a while. But yeah, his is very much fact based. All the stories that he talks about in his book, there are verifiable facts, dates, times, that stuff, and they stay away from what they call the woo, But yeah, I don't do a whole lot of UFO stuff because I don't like that tinfoil hat conspiracy theory bullshit. I stay away from conspiracy theories too, but I just can't. And I'm not downing that. It's just not for my show. You know what I'm saying? I just can't talk to somebody, I guess, that I wouldn't, if I don't find them interesting, I don't think I can talk to them. I don't think it'd be a good interview. I don't think my ADD would allow me to pay enough attention. You know what I'm saying? For it to be a good interview.
It sounds good on paper. And since I'm such a small show and will take anybody, I'll probably do it again.
Yeah.
But doing it, and I'm coming across just trying, like I have like this unspoken motto, which I speak a lot, which just makes it not unspoken anymore. But that anybody comes on my show is 100% telling the truth while they're on here.
Yeah.
and I basically did this show to hear stories. So like if you're telling a story, it's fine. And then, but they tell it like it's real. And I'm asking, so do you have any proof? I mean, if I was on a spaceship doing something, I would like take a knick-knack, maybe a complimentary air freshener.
Yeah, some sort of souvenir to prove that you're not fucking crazy. Yeah.
And there's always a caveat as to why they can't prove it. I'm like, just prove it.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot guys sound like Einstein compared to some folks I've talked to about it.
Yeah. 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 And I've had like even the Bigfoot subject and dogmen, like I'm cautious of who I have on. Talk about that because I don't want to get into the woo of Bigfoot and dogmen and stuff like that. Like, okay, well, let's talk about these as if they're flesh and blood creatures, right? And so, yeah, the Bigfoot people I've had on, I've had some really good ones on talking about Bigfoot, very educated, well-spoken people, and that's kind of the conversation I like to have. Well-educated, well-researched people like that. But
Bigfoot's my absolute favorite paranormal subject. Like
it's a lot of fun to talk about. Yeah.
Here lately, ghosts have made it in because I've been like trying to find, fellas like you with the societies, groups and stuff.
Yeah.
And I like those a lot and I had like the Delaware City Ghost Hunter, the entire group joined from a laptop across the room, which audio wise, not favorable. Conversation wise, it was 10 out of 10 because they were kind of just screaming, "Tell him about the time." But yeah, I had, I got you and Sin, and I've had a half a dozen other ones, but man, they're fun to talk to, the paranormal societies.
Yeah, I like to with my show, I like to talk to everybody. Like I said, I've had, some para celebrities on and things like that, but yeah, I like to talk to normal paranormal groups. Everybody has different stories and it's all fascinating to me. Yeah, and like you said, as far as I think I kind of do the same thing when somebody's on my show. As far as I'm concerned, what they're saying is true. Like who
really doesn't take any food out of your kid's mouth if it's not.
I mean, who the fuck am I to say that your stories are wrong but mine are right? I don't want you to discount my stories. I know what I've experienced. So yeah, I don't ever hold anybody's feet to the fire like that.
No,
I think some people would like to see that, but I don't think that's a good way to go about.
You're gonna earn
getting
yourself
people on
a
your
bad
show.
Name.
Yeah,
earn yourself a bad name if you do. I thought about it. Like, what if one day I turn into the bad critic? Going for the readers, but then all of a sudden, they get on a big show and like, well, I'm going on his show. He's just going to make fun of you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I've it's snowballed into. I've been surprised some of the guests I've gotten that have agreed to come on my show and I've talked to, but I think it's one of those things that kind of snowballs because the paranormal world is really not that big.
Nope.
Especially when you get into like more the bigger authors and like para celebrities and things like that. And they all talk to each other. And so if I send them an email and they see that Dave Schrader's been on my show or Katrina Weidman and they know them, they might shoot them an email and say, hey, what's this guy all about? Should I go on the show? Or they go and listen to the episode with, somebody like that. And then they're like, oh, maybe it'll be a good interview.
Yeah. The amount of people that say no is like in those single digit %.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's friends with each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. It's incredible. Like I know ancient alien people.
Yeah. Yeah.
How in the world?
That's one of the people that I've not been able to get on my show is Giorgio Sokolos. Isn't that his name? The crazy hair dude from
Crazy Hair. That's what I call him.
Yeah. He now his team was very, very nice. They've been very nice when I've emailed them and they said, he's not doing interviews right now or whatever. But they told me to, keep messaging, emailing them every once in a while because, there will come a time where he will. But yeah, very nice people. Just haven't got.
I could get you Rich Hoffman or Preston Dennett.
Yeah, I know Preston Dennett.
Rich Hoffman hired me at my job. He just lives across town.
Yeah,
the guy from Ancient Aliens.
Yeah,
we've met. He was on here when I first started, like in 2019. I was just tinkering around, and I really hate that I wasted that particular. Yeah. I wasted that particular guest on that particular time in my life because it was terrible.
Yeah, bring him back on. Do it again.
I mean, I can. I mean, different. It's not like he's going to say no.
Right.
Go to his house.
Right.
I know where he lives.
Right.
Hey, bitch. Say something. I was going to say, when it came to the Bigfoot guests, the best ones aren't the guys that are wearing like the camo hat with their arms crossed looking mean. You know what I'm talking about. The best ones are the old guys that can't work their phone. and had a real experience in the 70s, and those have been the best. This one guy had his whole interview like this. I'm just like, son of a bitch, man. What? And he's telling his story. I'm like, I can't. This is all usable. He's just going to look at his finger.
Yeah.
He saw it in 82 in Vermont or New Hampshire while he was hunting. He saw a Bigfoot pick up a deer and break its neck.
Oh, wow. That would be crazy to see.
Whether he saw it or not, he wasn't lying about it.
Yeah.
And then
there's a guy you need to talk to who actually lives in Nashville. His name's Matt Pruitt, and he's with the North American Wood Ape Conservancy, and he's working on his first book right now. But his research area for Bigfoot is out in Chattanooga and northern Georgia, and so he knows all about Tennessee Bigfoot sightings. And but his name's Matt Pruitt, great guy, Pruitt. He's going to be a speaker. He'll be a speaker at our expo talking about Bigfoot in Tennessee. But
name sounds so familiar.
Great guy, and very well spoken, very well researched. Any question you ask him, he has an intelligent answer for. Great guy, and he, like I said, he lives in Nashville as well.
That's cool. I've gotten. I think I'm going to try to get some in-person interviews pretty soon.
Yeah.
And between Nashville and South, I got like people, like you and Sin and anybody she knows. They got to be on board. We could just meet at a gas station. It could be like a Facebook Marketplace dump.
Matt Pruitt is also the podcast producer for Bobo and Cliff Barackman's podcast.
Oh, really?
And he knows all those guys. He even did some behind-the-scenes work on Finding Bigfoot. When that was
he's in there.
Yeah. He's a big Bigfoot guy. Yeah. But yeah, he was really cool to talk to. Like I said, he'll be a speaker at our expo in October, and great guy. But so you ever do any investigating in the paranormal, or just like talking about it?
I really, really like talking about it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm trying to so I didn't know which way this podcast would go. When I first made it, it was a caffeinated adventures through things I was interested in. Yeah. And I kind of just asked the universe to send me guests, and the only ones I got are paranormal and science. And so I changed it. I changed it to a welcome weary travelers, yada, yada, yada. What you don't know won't hurt you, and it seems to work out. I have more fun talking about this than anything. Yeah. It's one of my favorite subjects. It's Alabama football and paranormal and the outdoors and technology. It's just something I like to do.
Yeah, I retired from being a medic. I retired from the medical field after 20 years, and so this is what I do for a living now. I do the podcast and events and all that stuff. So I do the paranormal for a living now, which
Well,
is
it's good to hear that it's possible.
insane. Yeah, it's insane because 3 or 4 years ago, you told me I'd be friends with people from Ghost Hunters and Katrina Weidman from TV and running kind of the same circles and them even know my fucking name. I'd have told you you're crazy, And so now with the show and with everything, it's awesome.
I'm not there yet, but I did have my phone ring the other day at jiu-jitsu. I'm like, hold on, it's my Bigfoot guy from Minnesota. I gotta take this. He's like, hey, Bobby, I saw some howls and found some tracks. I'm like, do you ever think I'd have a Bigfoot guy?
Right.
Who wants me to drive to Minnesota?
Yeah, man, it's just it's just building the show up. Do what you do. Keep doing what you do.
I'm definitely going to do it. I'm actually started a consulting wing of my small business where I'm building up podcast kits for people who want to start.
Yeah.
I want to try to sell them for a few dollars and maybe save us up some capital.
I do some editing, video and audio editing on the side for some YouTube channels and podcasts. So I like to dive into that. I love video editing. I'm fixing to start working on my own documentary as well. So hopefully that'll be out sometime next year. I've been writing a book as well called Small Town Haunts and Legends of Tennessee that will be out later on this year. So I wanted to dive in to kind of these small towns that nobody's ever heard, these legends, these local legends, local folklore and ghost stories and things, and these awesome locations that have awesome history and ghost stories that go along with them. So I found some really fascinating stuff in Tennessee. But yeah, Small Town Haunts and Legends of Tennessee. So come the expo, I will definitely in October. I'll definitely have the book out. And,
it wouldn't be. It's not like a haunts, but I think it would be cool for there to be some kind of repository of the local legends, like all the crybaby bridges.
Yeah.
You know how every town's got a crybaby bridge anytime there's a bridge across the ridge?
I've got some of those stories in because I'm doing it kind of by town, by small town. And the first section is West Tennessee, and then I have middle and then East Tennessee. And so some of those are in there. If there's I put it in there if there's like a weird deviation from the normal story. You know what I'm saying? Like in Jackson, Tennessee, they have one of those bridges, but it's like some sort of wolf man, like dog man, that you'll see his red eyes, and he jumps out and makes people wreck around this curve when you go across this bridge. So there's things like that are a little more weird, and it's just that local area. Yeah,
that's actually feasible because I do have those glowing red eyes.
Sorry, allergies, man.
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's when the air tries to kill you.
Yeah, welcome to Tennessee.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
We're having them again, having tornadoes again Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping through it this time. I'm not staying up. Or I can't stand it. I gotta go. I mean, I got a job.
Yeah.
Staying up all night.
Well, luckily, I mean, we had worse damage from the 70-mile-an-hour winds than a few weeks ago than we did when supposed tornadoes. So,
heaven forbid you live in downtown Nashville. It rains more than an inch.
Yeah.
We were there when Garth canceled his show.
Yeah.
In 2021, and I stepped in that street and it went up to my dang shin, to my knee, and I'm wearing a pair of shorts and New Balances. I'm like, oh. I can't remember if I was drunk or not, but I know my wife was. I'm trying to get her across Broadway, and it's just it's like the Armageddon. It was awful. So ain't no wonder this damn place floods. It ain't been raining for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
One drunk chick fell down, just disappeared.
Find her in the Cumberland somewhere.
She disappeared and came back up. Oh,
the woohoo girls.
Yeah, woo!
Yeah, we call them the woohoo girls. All them bachelorettes on there.
And the pedicabs. We're there all the time.
Yeah, it's funny they want to ban. They ban drag performances in public, but drunken bachelorettes can ride a ginormous golden dick down the road, and that's not offensive.
They can't wear them around their neck.
Have you seen the big golden dick that they can ride?
No.
It's a big gold veiny dick and balls. that the Woohoo Girls can get on and ride like one of those old mechanical bulls. And it's just right out in the middle of Broadway. I'm like, okay.
I don't know how I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm going to search for this and get something bad. Oh, there it is. Hang on.
Downtown Nashville, I got a friend who's written a bunch of he just put out his last book about Nashville. He did downtown Nashville and then north. I don't know if he did north. I think he did east, west, and south Nashville, separate books. My buddy Alan Searcy, Southern Ghost Stories, and Nashville that's a haunted place too. Yeah, there it is. Yep, ride it like a mechanical bull. Yep,
there it is.
Yeah,
that is hypocrisy.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, we're gonna end on the golden dick. If you don't mind.
I'm fine with that.
And I'm gonna put that on a clip. Ending the golden dick. I'm gonna hit you up for those POCs or contacts.
Yeah.
And
sure.
who is Pat Fitzhugh?
Pat Fitzhugh. He does the Bell Witch stuff. Okay. Yeah.
I got my little notes as you will.
Yeah.
You do too, I bet. All right. Yeah, man. Appreciate you being on. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
You're on the same time zone as me, so I don't feel bad for keeping up to 8.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Some mofos be in SEC East time and be like dark. It'd be like midnight by now.
Oh yeah. Try to schedule Greenwich Mean Time in London.
Oh fuck. Yeah. Well, I work with the military, so that's not as hard for me, but I have had a ton of UK people on here lately, and it's like, it's 1 a.m. here. How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I've been up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing interviews so that they can do it at 10 in the morning. Yeah,
you accommodated them. You're letting them win again.
Yeah.
Never on the Bobby Dizzle. They come on my time. What time are we recording it? 1776. Someone recorded it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Everybody go check out the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. It's everywhere you can find it. Any podcast any podcast or music app, you can find my show.
Yeah. Appreciate it. We'll go hit it. Thanks for watching, everybody. And when you watch this, it'll be very live and very fun. Thanks.